To accompany the launch of his flat tax proposal today, Rick Perry granted an interview to my CNBC colleague John Harwood. But the interview didn't stick to fiscal policy. No, instead, Perry took the opportunity to repeat his comments on President Obama's birth certificate.
Mitt Romney, after the president released his birth certificate earlier this year, said that issue's done and settled. I accept it. You chose to keep it alive in your interview with Parade magazine over the weekend. Why'd you do that?
It's a good issue to keep alive. Just, you know, Donald's got to have some fun.
Right, so a potential presidential candidate revives a bogus story about the president so that his billionaire friend can have a laugh? But Perry was just getting started.
But are you saying that your comments about that are kind of a joke, or do you seriously have an unresolved question like Donald Trump has about this?
I don't have a clue about where the president and what this birth certificate says. But it's also a great distraction.
Distraction? Yes, I guess it is. A political calculation to distract voters from his catastrophic debate appearances, to distract them from his inept campaign that's seen him collapse in the polls. But it won't work, because this distraction will not change the course of his campaign. We know it. He knows it. Even Karl Rove knows it.
You associate yourself with a nutty view like that and you damage yourself. Don't associate yourself with sort of this nutty fringe group.
For more on this, I'm joined by Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, a Democrat from the state of Texas. Good afternoon.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Martin. How are you this afternoon?
Well, I guess I'm interested in how you would react to Rick Perry reviving this issue of the president's birth certificate.
You know, there are a lot of us from Texas who love our state and believe our state is a progressive, forward-thinking state of many diverse people, are enormously disappointed in Governor Perry for his lack of recognition that what is funny in the state of Texas or in the back rooms of Austin politics are not funny on the national arena when you're seeking to represent the entire United States of America. To have a presidential candidate use the words "not a clue" is disingenuous and frightening. No one wants to have someone's hand on the red phone that says they don't have a clue. President Obama's birth certificate is in the public domain. It indicates that he was born in Hawaii. There is no way in the world that you could not have a clue with what is going on with respect to the President of the United States. Everyone has put that to rest. It is not a joke. It is an insult. And Karl Rove, for the first time, I agree with him. You distance yourself from it immediately as you distance yourself away from the issuance of a state-issued Confederate flag. You don't mumble about it. You simply say that this is not the time to move forward. With respect to the birther issue, you say that it is done, it is over, and I respect the President of the United States as a United States citizen. That's leadership. That's seeking to become the President of the United States, whether I agree with your campaign or not. And we're sorely disappointed in the image that is projecting for the people of Texas.
Are we seeing a pattern emerge here? You've mentioned the license plate with the Confederate flag. We've heard about the name of Mr. Perry's family's hunting lodge. And now we have him casting serious aspersions on the citizenship of the current President of the United States, who happens, of course, to be mixed race. Is there a pattern here?
I think there's a pattern of the lack of seriousness in the focus on one's campaign and the high-level stakes that one is involved in. Seeking the presidency of the United States is an enormous responsibility. For example, what is Mr. Perry's assessment as relates to foreign affairs? Over the last couple of months, we've seen major high-dollar targets, if you will, succumb to the work of our national security community, the United States military, and President Barack Obama. Do we have the confidence that someone like Governor Perry would be able to ascend to that leadership? If you do not present yourself in a serious manner, if you are apt to make jokes, if you don't give a profound statement, and I'm not even suggesting that you stand before the world in front of a podium, but if you do not give a distinct press release that rejects the in-head rock, that we can understand that you reject it and were appalled and distance yourself from it, or you give a profound statement about the lack of credibility of a Confederate-issued license plate, regardless of the history preservation. That can be done in museums and private homes. If you don't distance yourself from the commander of the Texas Confederate organization that says people need to move on, then you are creating an atmosphere when you move into the general election, if you are elected by your primary voters, that you're not a serious candidate interested in seriously representing the people of the United States, which, by the way, have become increasingly diverse, and we're very proud of that. The soldiers that will come home from Iraq, Martin, will be a very diverse group who were willing to sacrifice their lives for America. Governor Perry doesn't seem to understand that.
You're familiar with Governor Perry. You're familiar with Texas politics. Do you think this is just the beginning of what we're going to hear from this man? Do you think this is going to become even more, how can I say it, retrograde as far as the arguments are concerned?
Well, you know, we all wish the best for our fellow Texans, but we have not seen evidence of an ascending campaign. We've seen quite the contrary. In Texas, our governor took $3 billion of stimulus dollars for education for our schools all over Texas, rural areas, urban areas, and put it in a rainy day fund. He's one of the leading closers of majority-minority school districts. One in particular, North Forest Independent School Districts, is on the ropes because of his intent to close it, even though it was under state leadership for 2 years. That's a complicated process, but it's a district whose parents and community are fighting to keep it, and we have not been able to get his attention. So we're concerned if he understands how broad a responsibility governing the United States will be. And no matter whether you are a Republican president or a Democratic president, referring to Governor Bush, who understood and then became president, he at least understood the value of diversity. We've seen that in presidents, both Democrat and Republican. I don't know if Governor Perry fully understands that wide breadth of how America is today and what the president will be expected to do and how he will be expected to lead.
Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, thank you so much for your thoughts and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.